Hi, everyone. I hope this finds each of you so very well. I'm speaking to you today from my studio in West Orange, New Jersey. Absolutely delighted to have this opportunity to interview the hip hop artist Kursive, who could not be a more ideal contributor to our special Grief and Rebirth podcast series. Kursive is speaking to us from Maryland, and he is so incredibly inspiring. He has dealt with much tragic loss in his life by channeling his efforts into artistic expression through music, by practicing humility and gratitude, and through entrepreneurship via his record company, an apparel brand, and other businesses. Kursive recently wrote a song titled Reminds Me of You, which has helped him express his grief and loss. The song is dedicated to his brother, and it is also written for his cousin, his best friend, his mother, and another good friend, all of whom he has lost. I can hardly wait to interview Kursive about his challenging journey towards rebirth, and perhaps he will even bless us with a verse or two from his song, Reminds Me of You. This is surely going to be an unforgettable, very, very special interview that will be incredibly meaningful to each of us. Kursive, a very special and a very warm welcome to Grief and Rebirth podcast.
Thanks, Alvin. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my goodness, such a pleasure. Let's begin with this question. Please tell us about your childhood and the abandonment by your mother due to her addiction to drugs. Was your mom your first significant loss? How old were you? Who brought you up? How did you cope?
So my mother, she's still alive, but she left my life at a young age. She's had battled her demons from about when I was like 5.
Drugs? She had?
Yeah, she had drug problems and addiction. She was addicted to drugs, and my dad kind of took us out of that life. Like she was having issues, and he kind of raised us. But from a young age, like, I mean, I knew I was like her favorite from what I've been told. You know, she always had an attachment for me, and I think maybe I had that for her. You know, looking at it now because of some of the trauma I've dealt with, and some of the issues I've dealt with my attachment. But from a young age, she, I didn't really have a real solid mother figure in my life. I mean, I look at my grandmother more as my mother. You know, she was the one that kind of was a woman in my life that helped raise me.
Is your grandmother still with us today?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
She's right up the street from me.
She must be so proud of you.
She wants me to come mow the grass.
She loves to see you, even if it's mowing the grass.
That's my rock. I mean, for most of my life, my grandmother was, a big part of it. I lived with her, back and forth over the
She
years.
really helped to save you in a lot of ways. She's your dad's mom, right?
Yeah. My dad's mother. And I mean, my mother, I understood at an early age. She had her ailments and problems with drugs, and I saw things at a young age that people my age shouldn't have seen, and I think it kind of set the path and in the world I lived. So
yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, when you don't see your mother often anymore, right? She's like sort of out of your life now.
No, I saw her in my brother's funeral, and I mean, I wish her the best. It's not, I don't want to speak ill on her. I know addiction is, a problem, and it's, not easy. Not a lot of people make it out.
Yeah.
She survived a lot, and I'm sure she still has opportunities to change. And I know she still battles with her her demons.
Her demons, absolutely. Well, you've also had very significant other losses. And considering that you lost both your brother and a cousin to drugs, tell us about your other losses and what inspired you not to turn to drugs yourself. It would have been so easy for you to fall into that also.
I really, you know, I was on a path, I think, to doing drugs like at an early age.
I mean, what do you call an early age, Kursive?
I think sixth grade, like
Wow.
11, is the first time I smoked weed and drank. Um, I think I was trying to grow up too fast, and maybe it was because of some of the things I've seen and just the place I was. Like a lot of kids were sheltered, or I just had experienced more at an early age. And I actually, before my brother, he wasn't smoking weed when I was. Like he was a couple years older, and I remember the first time he ever smoked and did things like that. I was the one that was like, oh, I already know about this. Like, you want to use this bowl I have, like and
So,
I was on that path. I think I was trying to grow up too fast. I wanted to be a grown up. I wanted, and I felt kind of like that. I was a little bit more independent. My dad had a lot going on. He was a great man. My dad, was working very hard to provide. He put himself in a little bit of a rough situation along with my mother when we were little, but he dug himself out of that, and he was constantly digging himself out of that and working very hard.
it sounds
But
like he's been an incredible role model to you.
yeah, for sure. I love my father. He's a great man. He's inspired me and, given me a lot of hope and showed me that, he was always there for me, always give me good words and helped me to dig myself out of some situations. But yeah, like around 11, 12 years old, I started doing drugs and started, getting drunk, and 13, 14, going into high school, I started taking pills and, doing things that were a lot more risky. And I think my brother was a blessing to me at that point because he also was in that pattern. And I just saw him, spiral a lot quicker than I was, and I could see it from a perspective of like, that's what's going on. Like I looked up to him and I could see some of the ailments and things he was dealing with when it came to his addiction and things like that. And it just made me more, I guess, driven toward other things. Like I wanted to be, I was constantly like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and that. And then it just made me realize like, well, I shouldn't be doing that. And I think that kind of saved me in a lot of ways. Like,
Wow, and you pulled yourself off it. That's fantastic.
yeah.
And tell me where you learned about humility and gratitude because you have so much of that, and how they helped you in your life.
Just being grateful.
I
That's,
mean, you could have not been. You could have been mad at your circumstances that you grew up with. You could have been mad that your mom wasn't around. You could have been mad at all the things that you saw, but instead you became humble and grateful. What accounts for that?
I used to always say, I don't know where I got this from, and who knows who quotes what anymore. Like you'll see one quote from, you know, Einstein, the next day is from like John F. Kennedy. Same quote. But it's like life's like a bike. If you stop pedaling, you lose your balance. And I think that's a big thing for me. Like you just have to keep going. You just like dealing with the rejection and dealing with, the problems that come. Like you can't get down on yourself. You can't, you can't fall. You got to keep getting up. You got to keep fighting. And it's a constant thing.
So, are those messages that you learned from society around you, or did your dad practice that also? I mean, to pick up that attitude, I know a lot of people in the world who have a lot of wonderful things, but they're not grateful.
Yeah, my dad for sure. Like I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for his persistence and his he definitely dug himself out of a real rough situation for us. And he constantly was working and trying new things and paying the bills and paying his debts and trying to keep
Wow.
us happy.
Wow.
Yeah, it definitely rubbed off on me.
And you talk about us. How many of there were you?
I have um, 3 sisters and 2 brothers. And I have a half sister and a half brother.
Wow. Wow. You're
Well,
never truly alone.
half sister and half brother I haven't met, but the closest to me are 3 sisters and my 2 brothers, one that passed away.
Okay. What number were you in the grouping?
I'm the second oldest. My brother was the oldest. Yeah.
And you kind of rebirthed yourself through music and entrepreneurship. It is amazing what you do, sir. Could you regale our listeners and our viewers with your path through to first of all about music, and how old were you when you started with music, and your entrepreneurship? You have an apparel company. By the way, I once worked as a buyer for Macy's, so that fascinates me. Really? You have an apparel company, you have a music company, you have other things. So tell us all about what you've done. I mean, you're a young guy.
Thanks. Well, Irene, I think it started. My first, I've always been inspired by music. My dad was real into music, like grunge, 90s rock and hip hop. He got me into that. Me and my brother, when we were young, we'd steal the CDs that he didn't want us to listen to that were explicit, and we'd listen to them, you know, things like that. But I remember my first experience with music was I would listen. I remember we had like these MP3 players before iPod, I think. And they had like half a gig on them, and we would put music on it. And at the time where my father lived, we moved from a place called Rockville to Frederick County. And we had a long driveway, and I'd have to walk down to the bus, and I'd put the headphones on. And, you know, one day I was just like, I could do that, you know, like the way they talk and the way they say words. And I just started rapping, you know, I make that.
How old were you then? How old were you then, Kursive?
About 11, 12.
And how old are you now?
29.
29. Oh, your whole life is in front of you. It's very exciting. Look at what you're doing at 29. It's amazing. Really. And you told me also that you started music by playing the flute.
Yeah, well, I didn't play it real well.
But you were very young with that.
I don't know why I wanted to play I just remember that I got a flute, and this is before 11. It was like 6 maybe, or 7. And my dad, we got a flute, and I left it at a Rita's. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rita's. It's like an ice cream place.
I'm very familiar with Rita's. Yeah, we're in Jersey. We've got Rita's.
Oh, you're in Jersey. Okay. Yeah, so you know Rita's. But yeah, I left it at a Rita's and never saw it again. So I didn't really learn how to play it. But my first instrument, my sister actually, she learned guitar at an early age, maybe 11 or 12. And when I was 19, 20, I was like, oh, if she could play it, I got to play it now. So I started picking it up, and I played, you know, songs I liked on guitar. And
you actually do arrangements for other people too, don't you? You write songs, you do arrangements for other people. Yeah. You have a record company.
Yeah. I make music, mainly like a hybrid of like hip hop and rock. But I've done it all. From music, I started my first studio in 2014. And it was just for me originally.
You were like 22 or something.
Yeah, I was unemployed, and I had some money that I saved up from a job, and I was like, look, I'm gonna take my passion serious, and I invested in some studio equipment, and I just got really involved and become obsessed with mixing and the whole engineering side of music. So I started making music like beats and production.
What's really fascinating to me is you never had a formal education with any of that, right? You just kind of picked it up, which is amazing.
I think I got my real estate license out of high school, but that was it. And I didn't pursue it. I started a business. I met somebody in that class that was cleaning out foreclosed homes at the time. And I didn't even become a realtor. Instead, I started a foreclosure business and cleaned out the foreclosed homes. And, which being a realtor would be real lucrative right now, the way the market is.
Oh, yeah. You're not kidding. You're not kidding. So wait, I want to talk to you about, so you do all this with music and then you have an apparel company. Do we all want to get online and buy your clothing? What are you making it? Are you repping other manufacturers? What do you do?
It's an apparel company called Metropolitans.
Spell that. Metro.
Metropollens.
Okay.
It's I just have a shirt, It's a basically CBD, or like, I don't know if you guys know, like medical marijuana, like it's really just, cool like style shirts and stuff like that.
I think everyone is now Googling Metropolitans. Do you have a website?
I'm in the process of creating it. We created the Instagram, and Instagram kind of took off. It's got about 15,000 followers.
So they can find it on Instagram.
Yeah, they can find it on Instagram. I'm revamping the artwork right now. My cousin, he's an amazing artist, and he's working on some designs for me, and we're gonna release some new stuff.
That's so great. That's so absolutely great. And you get your raw materials from. I mean, I was in retailing, so like some of the things we did came from the Orient, some of the things we did came from inside the United States. Are you going abroad, or all of this right now is coming from
right up the street from me?
Right up the street. Wow.
So I started a construction business, and when I did that, I linked with a company, Custom Imprints, and I just became friends with them, and I just was like, hey, I want to give you more business, and they helped me with embroidery and
fabulous
screen print. So I just stick with them for now. I know I could probably save a bunch of money going overseas, or cut some of the profit margins, but
this is fascinating to me. I mean, like, because I have a musical background and an entrepreneurial background, so when I'm talking to you, I'm really going back to some of my roots. It's really amazing. So I want to make sure I know of all these businesses. You've been in real estate, construction, apparel, music. Am I leaving anything out? Only at 29 years old. Anything else?
I started a high-end residential window washing company. That was my first company. And it was because of my father. My father started a high-end residential window washing company called Glass Act. And this was years ago. Like, when it was the first job I had. I worked for him. He just wanted, he was tired of always working paycheck to paycheck. And I think he just wanted to do something where it was on his own time. And he got that going. And I worked for him, and I was like, me and him got in an argument, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start my own.
You're terrific.
I didn't do well, like well, I did well, but I was just real distracted at the time. I wasn't as motivated when I was 18. But that was the first company I started, and
I got to tell you something. At 18, you were more motivated than a lot of other 18-year-olds I know. That's amazing. Wow. Would you grace us with a few verses of your song?
Yeah.
Reminds me of you.
Okay. And I'm not used to it without a beat, but we can do it a cappella. It's more like a spoken word, I guess, maybe. So
the words were beautiful, and then to me, the most important for people to pick up your sentiment and what you're saying with your words.
I think when you listen to the song, you're really gonna get the expression and emotion that I felt when I made it. That was kind of spot on to that reality. So see some wild shit. Made me really believe in God, fear no man. Cause most just put on that facade. Shit is sick how they project their insecurities. And I could give a fuck about this whip, these clothes, this house I'm in. All that money they spend to feel appreciated ain't gonna take it with you. You ever wonder if they pull your card to really go on mission? What matters more is what you're willing to build. And we don't give a fuck what you got as long as you keep it real. Try to make it right. Get too busy making a living, forget to make a life. I seen a rich man desperate. I seen a poor man breaded. I bet as women. I up and left off for some buzz downs. Or you in love now? I seen a lot of real good men sin. I seen a lot of real favorite men win. You gotta watch who acting like your friends ain't your friends. Yeah, I pray for them. I used to think Jordan was invincible the way he played with death. I still can't believe he gone. He like he with me every step. And Wayne, that's my right hand. We was brothers when we met. When he died, I cried so fucking hard, I couldn't even catch my breath. When my girl up in 11 years said I never change, I'm emotionless. I know this shit, but we don't feel the same. I got a lot of people reaching, but they always out of range. I don't want to break your heart because I don't think you feel this pain. No.
That's beautiful. I love it. That's
okay.
You can say that on this podcast.
I have to edit it.
I was interviewing with someone recently and she had an emotional release while I was interviewing her and she started to cry. I said, on this podcast, that's absolutely fine and respected, not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that was like
I like the words though, and I can feel the rhythm in it.
You would have to listen to it. I'm just, I can't.
Is there some where you've got it in a specific
SoundCloud? It's on SoundCloud.
It's on SoundCloud. Yeah. So if people go to SoundCloud and ask for "Reminds Me of You" by Kursive, they'll find it there.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, there's your cue. What's your message about the importance of healing, humility, and gratitude that you would like to share with a Grief and Rebirth audience? Why should they work to heal their stuff and move forward in their lives when they're in pain and they've had all these losses and things are going on? What would you advise them?
I tell my guys this all the time. It's like things don't get easier in life. It just, you get stronger. The way you deal with things, is more developed. And I think it's important to be resilient. It's important to take on things with a new perspective and a certain attitude toward them and a certain mindset. Because, just like if I were, when I was a kid, my grandmother, when she was mad, she'd yell up, "Kyle, what are you doing?" But if she was like, "Kyle, what are you doing?" Like, I knew she wasn't mad, but those two, tonalities, like,
oh yeah,
so different. And that's kind of how you got to look at things as well. Like if you look at it, your problems is like, hey, it's going to take me out. It's going to bring me down. It's going to bring you down. If you look at it from a light that like, hey, I'm going to overcome this, I'm going to keep moving through this, you're going to move through it and you're going to overcome it. And I think that's become my mindset after my brother passed away. It really taught me that like, hey, I could sit here and dwell in this grief or I could use, the blessings and the things he shared with me in a positive way. And just like music is something that we shared. And it's definitely something that's driven me forward with the things I do in my life.
I mean, when I think about all that you've been through, your mom, your brother died with a drug overdose. You had a cousin who died that way. And then you had a best friend and another friend. They were in car accidents or something?
My best friend, Wayne, I got his thing right here. My friend.
Oh, Wayne.
Wow. I knew him. I met him when I was 14, and we were just really good friends. Like we just had like a certain bond, I guess. He got into Job Corp. I actually was telling him about Job Corp, and he wanted to change his life. He was from a bad part of DC, and a pretty bad situation, like growing up, and he wanted to change his life around, and he went in Job Corp, became a plumber, and he wasn't really that into the drugs anymore. Like he sold drugs and did drugs back in the day, like, but it wasn't anything crazy like what my brother experienced. But he on October this year, October 31st on Halloween, I guess he took a bad pill. Like he thought it was like a Percocet, and I guess, well, that's what I was told. I still don't know, it's still, you
Look
know,
what you've weathered. Look at all the
not the
grief
best.
that you've weathered.
Right. I mean, I've dealt with my cousin died of an overdose because of fentanyl. We were really close. He passed away, and that was unexpected. And the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty hard when it came to losing people.
Wow, Kursive, you're amazing. You really are, and your attitude and how you're moving forward with your life, it would hobble a lot of other people. Now everyone wants to connect with you and find out more about you. So where do they find you, Kursive? Can they just Google Kursive, or is there a special place they should go?
Kursive with a K
Kursive with a K
on Instagram.
on Instagram.
Is the main platform I've been, you know, reaching my fans with. SoundCloud. Pretty soon, I have a couple songs on Apple Music, but definitely a lot more to come. I'm taking the music a little bit more serious now, as you can tell.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's all ahead of you. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
What is the Kursive tip for finding joy in life?
Be present.
Be present.
Yeah, present-minded.
Don't live in the past.
Yeah, day tight compartments. Dale Carnegie. I don't know if you're familiar, but yeah, you just have to be here and now. Like, you have to savor your moments, enjoy the little things, enjoy the process.
Because the other stuff is going to be there. So when the good stuff is there, savor it, right?
Right. I'm living my life. Like, I used to put so much pressure on myself with the business and the music, and all I can do is navigate what's going on right now and be the best I could be now.
That's fabulous.
That's kind of my motto, you know.
Well, it's a very good motto. We should all follow it. You know, Kursive, you are truly an incredible inspiration and a tremendous role model for grief and rebirth with what you've been through. Thank you for opening your heart and soul to all of us, including sharing your song Reminds Me of You. I am sure that many in our Grief and Rebirth podcast audience have now opened their hearts and souls to you. Thank you from my heart for this wonderful interview and your amazing generosity of spirit. It is so appreciated. And here's a reminder, everyone, that you can see the show notes and all Grief and Rebirth podcast episodes on ireneweinberg.com. And make sure to follow us and like us on social at Irene S. Weinberg on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. As I like to say, to be continued. Many blessings. And bye for now. Hey, everyone. I'm coming back in with Kursive because we were talking after our interview, and he was telling me about this incredible, amazing healing project that he's doing with his uncle, that he's planning to do with his uncle. And I cannot wait to have his uncle on to talk about grief and rebirth and talk about this project. So I want to talk to Kursive about that. Kursive, tell us about your uncle and the project that you're planning to do with your uncle.
So my uncle, he's a great man, in my opinion. Like, he's got a really good heart. You know,
is this your father's brother?
No, it's my grandmother's sister's son.
Okay.
So my cousin, really, but we call him Uncle Rebel. His real name is Rebel Bird. But Rebel, like, he's had a hard life, and he's battled, and he's been successful, and he's gone to jail a couple of times. He's had to deal with incarceration for 20 out of the last 30 years.
Wow.
So he spent a lot of time, but he's rebuilding himself, and he's very inspired, and it's just a different energy. We were talking while he was in jail, and he just got out a couple months ago, and we were talking about starting a program for in memory of my brother and my cousin, called the Jordan Graham Foundation. We just want to give back, like more so of a charity, and help people rehabilitate instead of, when people get out of jail, they'll go to a halfway house or but they don't know how to deal with money. They don't know how to deal with the real world and how to communicate. And I think communication is a real big one. Being able to communicate is definitely a skill. It's definitely a hard thing to learn. And I think,
Are you going to have tutors for them, or you're going to be teaching them, or what's your vision?
I'm thinking of like an application, like something on your phone. And I just want to meet some of, people that study these things and study the brain and study how to study and how to learn and, study finance and how to deal with your money and the most effective ways to rehabilitate and fight through some of the things that they're going through. So I just want to, we're developing it. It's more of a in the process, on the drawing board type thing, but
it's so inspiring. And talk about helping people to rebirth themselves. Wow.
Right. He's inspired too. And I think this is something that's given him, a lot of, he's really trying hard, and he's staying sober, and he's helping the family, and he's got a good spirit, and he always has. I just think he still fights his demons, and I think this is really good for him, and is giving back and being grateful for what's going on.
And he's so lucky to have you.
Right.
What a partnership.
I'm lucky to have him.
Yeah.
Like I was with my brother. I'm lucky to have everybody that's in my life. They inspire me.
That's the gratitude is such a beautiful part of you. Thank you very much. Really. And I want everybody to go on Instagram and you can hear the real thing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so grateful, and I wish you well, and take all those phone calls you're getting, and bye for now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks, Irene. I really had a good time with you. Thanks.
My pleasure. We're both blessed.
You have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Night at this point.
You too.
Good night.
Bye for now. Good night.